The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has appealed to his ruling Conservative Party to unite behind his plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. He has in fact warned that if he had toughened his Rwanda plan any further, then the whole scheme of the British government to send immigrants to Rwanda would collapse. The Rwanda plan is at the centre of Rishi Sunak's immigration policy, and its success is likely to be key to the fortunes of his Conservative Party.
Means that this bill blocks every single reason that has ever been used to prevent flights to Rwanda from taking off. The only extremely narrow exception will be that if you can prove with credible and compelling evidence that you specifically have a real and imminent risk of serious and irreversible harm. We have to recognise that as a matter of law. And if we didn't, we'd undermine the treaty we've just signed with Rwanda. As the Rwandans themselves have made clear, if we go any further, the entire scheme will collapse. And there is no point having a bill with nowhere to send people to.
Earlier, the Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick had quit over the legislation, leaving the ruling Conservative Party in a big dilemma. Now, Jenrick resigned after Sunak's administration had published emergency legislation called Safety of Rwanda Bill, designed to ensure that Rwanda is regarded as a safe country, and it is characterized as a safe country. This after the British Supreme Court's verdict last month that had deemed that Rwanda was not a safe country. Now, Jenrick in fact wrote in his resignation letter, and I quote him here, "The stakes for the country are way too high for us not to pursue the stronger protections that are required to end the merry-go-round of legal challenges, which risk paralysing the scheme and also negating its intended deterrent." And that was seen as a bit of a reference to Sunak's refusal to take Britain out of the European Convention on Human Rights. The publication of the law comes just a day after the British Home Secretary James Cleverly had signed a new treaty during a visit to Rwanda's capital Kigali to include commitments regarding the treatment of asylum seekers and other migrants who are sent there. So here's what the treaty states. The treaty guarantees that any people who are sent to Rwanda to claim asylum will not be at risk of refoulement, which is the legal term for being sent to a third nation where they could be persecuted. The draft bill, which deems Rwanda to be a safe country and is set to be rushed through the House of Commons, bypasses some sections of the Human Rights Act. However, the bill stops short of what some of the Tory on the right are demanding. Britain's sacked Home Secretary Suella Braverman, for instance, has warned Prime Minister Sunak of electoral oblivion, adding that the bill must block all routes of legal challenge to allow for flights to take off. And we also earlier spoke with Nicholas Nugent, who is a senior journalist and a former BBC editor, and this is what he had to say on this matter.
Well, I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, I incidentally did start off in the law, but I'm no lawyer these days. But it looks a bit flaky. It looks a bit flaky. And that assumes that Rishi Sunak can get the law through Parliament. So even that is questionable, because the Labour Party will clearly vote against it. And I think there'll be a lot of members of the Conservative Party who will also try and block it, because it's considered to be either inappropriate or unfeasible that this is going to clear the way for Rishi Sunak to do what he's promised to do. So, yes, legally, it's highly questionable. And I think most of us do not expect those flights to take off for Rwanda this side of a general election, as you've indicated. But right now, the focus is on whether there's a vote of confidence against Rishi Sunak and the possibility even of the government falling.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.